She's with me. Single dad spoke calmly. The billionaire heiress stood frozen at the table. Ethan Cole wasn't the type to make a scene. A single dad raising his little girl. He kept to himself, worked double shifts as a mechanic, and saved every penny. Tonight, though, he had agreed to do something completely out of character. Attend a charity dinner at one of the city's most prestigious hotels. His daughter's scholarship was funded by the foundation hosting the event, and he wanted to show gratitude. The ballroom glittered with chandeliers, tuxedos and gowns that cost more than Ethan's yearly salary. He felt out of place in his simple suit, but his daughter's hand squeezing his reassured him. At the far end of the room sat Isabella Kingston, the billionaire heiress to the Kingston fortune. Known for her elegance, she was the kind of woman tabloids chased daily, but tonight, her usual calm demeanor faltered because someone wouldn't leave her alone. A sharply dressed man leaned too close. Ignoring her polite refusals, his voice carried, arrogant and dismissive. "Come on, Isabella. Don't play hard to get. You know women like you end up alone, unless they find a man like me." Guests glanced but looked away quickly, unwilling to step into drama involving one of the most powerful families in the country. That's when Ethan noticed her. He recognized the expression on Isabella's face, the same look his daughter wore years ago when bullies cornered her on the playground. Fear mixed with silence. He stood, walked calmly through the crowd, and placed a steady hand on the man's shoulder. "She's with me." The words weren't loud. They didn't need to be. They carried a quiet strength that made the room pause. The arrogant man blinked in shock. "You? With her? Don't make me laugh." But Isabella, the woman who never let her mask slip in public, stood frozen, eyes wide. She didn't correct Ethan. She didn't deny it. For the first time, she looked like she could breathe. "Problem?" Ethan asked evenly, his tone unshaken. The man sneered, muttered something under his breath, and backed away. The crowd pretended to return to their conversations. But whispers followed Ethan back to Isabella's side. Why did you do that?" she asked, her voice trembling. Ethan gave a half smile. "Because sometimes all it takes is someone standing next to you and saying, 'You're not alone.'" For the first time in years, Isabella Kingston, the woman who had everything but trust, realized she might have just met the one man who wanted nothing from her. And as the night continued, her eyes kept searching for him in the crowd. Ethan Cole hated wearing suits. The stiff collar made him feel like he was choking, and the polished shoes felt nothing like the worn boots he spent most of his days in. But tonight was special, and he owed it to his daughter, Lily. Lily had been awarded a scholarship through the Kingston Foundation. It was the only reason she could attend a private school she loved. Surrounded by books, art, and teachers who believed in her. When the invitation for the annual Kingston Charity Gala arrived, Lily had begged him to go. "Dad," she had said, eyes shining, "we have to go. It's a thank you dinner. And besides, maybe you'll meet someone." Ethan chuckled at that. He wasn't looking for anyone. Being a single dad kept him busy enough. His wife had passed away when Lily was only 3, and since then, his world had revolved around keeping a roof over their heads and giving his little girl a life better than his own. But now, as they walked into the ballroom, chandeliers glittering, violins playing softly, waiters gliding with trays of champagne, Ethan felt completely out of place. He tugged at his tie and whispered, "Lily, I don't belong here." "You do?" Lily said, smiling. "You're my hero." Heroes belong anywhere. Her words steadied him. Isabella Kingston sat at a table near the front, surrounded by business leaders and socialites. To the public, she was the perfect heiress, poised, untouchable, flawless. In reality, she felt suffocated. Everyone around her seemed to want something, her name, her money. Her influence. Tonight was no different. A man named Richard Belmont, son of a powerful investor, had cornered her. "You've been dodging me all evening," he said smoothly, leaning too close. Don't be shy, Isabella. Everyone knows our families would make the perfect alliance. Think of the power we'd have. She forced a polite smile. Richard, I've already told you I'm not interested. But he ignored her, laughing as though her words meant nothing. Don't play hard to get. You'll thank me later. Her heart raced. She hated this. The room was full of people, yet she felt completely alone. No one ever stepped in. No one dared. Ethan noticed her at first. He didn't recognize who she was. To him, she wasn't Isabella Kingston, billionaire heiress. She was just a woman who looked cornered, her smile brittle, her eyes screaming for help. He excused himself from Lily and crossed the room. Each step was steady, deliberate. Years of protecting his daughter, years of standing up to anyone who dared to intimidate her, had taught him the quiet strength of presence. He placed a hand on Richard's shoulder. She's with me. The words weren't loud, but they cut through the music, through the laughter, through the weight of the room. Conversation stalled. Heads turned. Richard blinked, then scoffed. You? With her? Do you know who she is? Do you know who I am? Ethan didn't flinch. His voice remained calm, low, and firm. I don't care who you are. She said no. That's enough. Isabella's breath caught. She had never seen anyone talk like that. Not to Richard, not to anyone in her circle. Her pulse hammered in her ears, and for once, she didn't correct the stranger. She didn't deny the claim. She just stood frozen, her heart pounding. Richard sneered, muttered under his breath, and finally backed away, embarrassed under the silent stares of the guests. Ethan turned to Isabella. Are you okay? For a moment, she couldn't speak. She just nodded, her carefully constructed composure cracked wide open. They ended up at the same table, an awkward silence lingering at first. Then Isabella asked softly, Why did you do that? Ethan shrugged. Because you looked like you needed someone too. Her eyes lingered on him. Most men bragged, boasted, or tried to impress her. But this man, who clearly wasn't from her world, had stepped in quietly, with no agenda. And if Richard had caused a scene, she pressed, then I'd have dealt with it, Ethan said simply, sipping water as though the answer needed no elaboration. For the first time in years, Isabella laughed. A genuine, unguarded laugh. Across the ballroom, Lily waved at her dad. Isabella's gaze followed, softening when she saw the little girl. Your daughter? Yeah, Ethan said, his voice full of pride. She's the reason I'm here tonight. And something shifted inside. Isabella Kingston, the woman who had everything but trust. For once, she wasn't the heiress, the untouchable figure in glossy magazines. She was just a woman, sitting across from a man who looked at her like she was human, and she wasn't sure why. But she didn't want the evening to end.